Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq, with daily insight on the Nasdaq-100 index, or the NDX, which is made up of 100 of the largest domestic and international non-financial innovative companies listed right here on the Nasdaq stock market. The NDX has been the barometer for U.S. large cap growth and also one of the best performing indexes over the last decade and a half, not to mention one of the most liquid index ecosystems in the world. Joining us this Tuesday afternoon, we have Sean Cruz, manager of trader services at TD Ameritrade, to discuss Nasdaq 100 performance on what's been a busy day for constituents, with Amazon Prime Day kicking off today through tomorrow and Apple announcing a suite of new products. So, Sean, definitely a lot to watch in the Nasdaq 100 for sure today.
There are, and it looks like we're actually seeing a little bit of outperformance from Nasdaq to some of the other major indices. And I think we've actually gotten a couple negative headlines on COVID, and I think that's putting some concerns around lockdown. And that doesn't just have to be from cases. Some of the vaccinations and treatments trials have been temporarily paused pending further review. So I think that's causing a little bit of a rotation back into something that if you are a little bit more focused on tech and other sectors outside of technology, but are largely driven by tech, I think that's actually where the place to be for today is for investors, especially coming off of what I think was maybe a little bit of a disappointment on the bank earnings front. And then also just looking across the board, we're seeing the cyclicals just not doing very well today.
All right, if we take a look at your second chart here, Amazon, of course, how's it responding to Prime Day headlines?
So far, I think it's hard given some of the news we've had today. Like I said, we had sort of this 1-2 punch with first Johnson & Johnson and then Eli Lilly coming out, having to delay their trials. It's actually sort of knocked down markets across the board. Nasdaq has been holding up a little bit better. So it'll be interesting to see from Amazon and looking at this chart. It's sort of getting up there on that 35-20 level. It seems to be a previous top, could maybe serve as resistance. So we're going to wait and see what sales actually look like. But just to put it in perspective, if you look at it, and I looked at what they said they sold last year, 100,000 laptops, 200,000 TVs, 300,000 sets of headphones, 350,000 luxury beauty products, and more than 1 million toys. And that was when they had about, let's say, 100 million or so Prime subscribers. Estimates now for this year put them at about 150 million. Some think it may be as high as 200 million Prime subscribers that are out there shopping today. So this could really end up being a significant news event for Amazon once we do sort of get some numbers, because they usually do give some insight into what sales were like. I think it's also worth noting that they had to delay this into their fourth quarter. So this actually will now put their holiday shopping season and their Prime shopping day into the same quarter. And it'll be interesting to see what the impact of that could be, because if they put it too close to the holiday, then maybe there's going to be a little bit of pull forward from holiday shopping. But if it just really ends up being sort of a two big events going on in the same quarter, you could have some pretty outsized numbers going into for fourth quarter earnings. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what the effect of this ends up being at the end of the day.
Yeah, I would imagine that there's certainly some customer acquisition that's occurred as a result of COVID-19. So it does make sense to see the estimates on more customer headcount. And then, of course, to wrap up here, Apple finally with the product announcement with 5G phones. And of course, every time there's a product announcement, you see that significant run up in the stock just prior to.
You do, and this stock's going to be a little bit volatile here. Like I said, I attribute a lot of that to just more generally what's going on in the market. If you look at the phone, I think by and large, from what we do know, we're getting exactly what everyone was expecting. I think what people wanted to see: a better camera, better processor, 5G most importantly. They're now going to offer multiple sizes outside of just 2 or 3. I think they're going to have 4 that they're now offering for the iPhone 12. So I think there's a lot to like out of this offering. It'll really be a matter of keeping an eye on maybe some of the infrastructure around 5G, or seeing if some of the other moves they're doing in services sort of add to the value proposition of the phone, and then also what this does for the upgrade cycle. I can only speak for myself, but I've actually held off on my upgrade this year because I've been waiting for this phone. But it'll be interesting to see what that looks like across the board and if that can drive a surge in demand. I would say this is not just an incremental improvement. Going into 5G and being one of the first major phones out there to do that, this is something that a lot of Apple fans have been waiting on. So I think this could potentially drive a significant upgrade cycle for Apple. But it'll be interesting to see if that can actually push it up towards those 133 highs. Right now, it's sort of chopping around just north of 120. So I think you probably want to wait and watch this through the rest of the week because you're going to see a lot of reviews coming out. You're probably going to have some analysts coming out, maybe making some changes, some comments to how this affects their outlook. So Apple and Amazon, you're certainly going to want to keep your eye on these two names for the rest of the week.
All right, Sean, thanks for joining us on Trade Talks, and thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.